Good afternoon, you're very welcome along to the final of our afternoon off the ball Cheltenham specials. It is of course Gold Cup Day over in the UK. We're going to be crossing over there momentarily. If you want to get in touch, by the way, with any tips you have or any questions you have for our racing experts this afternoon, you can tweet us at Off The Ball, or you can comment live on the stream if you happen to be watching us on Facebook or on YouTube. But one tipster we've been chatting about all week, because he's been on fire, particularly in the opening couple of days, is Michael Verney of the Irish Independent, and we are going to chat to him right now actually. Michael, good afternoon to you. How are things?
Owen, how are you? Very good, thanks.
Not too bad. If anybody at home has got a copy of the Irish Independent and is looking for, I guess, if you're a bluffer like myself basically at home and you're looking for some basic info that's quite digestible, I'd advise Michael's column in the Indo today. That's my highlighting done on today's column by Michael in the Indo. It's good stuff, Michael, and it's been fairly profitable for you. Certainly the first couple of days this festival. I think yesterday was a tough day for everybody.
Yeah, I think it was beginner's luck on Tuesday. Only at the half to get started. The first three went in. We had 109 to 1 treble, and Big Jazz came in each way at a big price in the champion. A couple of winners on Wednesday. Yesterday was a bit tougher, but I think it was a bit with the underscore getting turned over. But today is another day.
Yeah, absolutely. Talk to us a little bit about that 191 to 1 treble that you had on day one.
Yeah, 109 to 1. It was Somerville Boy in the opener for Tom George. Just had a good look through his form. Really fancied that one. Footpad then. I've been a big fan of Footpad since he went over fences. He's been very impressive. And then it was Kustar Savola, Lizzie Kelly's first festival winner as well. So yeah, just kind of fancy the trade. It's great when you get off to a good start like that, and then of course Mick Jazz each way in the champion. Yeah, it couldn't have gone off to a much better start now, I have to say.
Yeah, and I presumably in bonus territory then for the rest of the week. Overall, what's your view been of the Irish so far? Obviously, unbelievably successful. Do you think that's as much to do with brilliant preparation from the likes of Gordon Elliott and Willie Mullins, as well as it is with this obvious, I suppose, lacking in standards? I guess let's call a spade here from the English side of things.
Yeah, it's been outstanding, really. I know a lot of people who've been at Cheltenham for 20 or 30 years, and they never thought we'd get 19 winners like we did last year. But like to have the Prestbury Cup, the Ireland versus Britain battle over after day 3, it's pretty outstanding. Yeah, there's a lot to be said. The quality that the likes of Gordon and Willie have is unbelievable. But 5 or 6 years ago, Paul Nichols was winning all around them. Philip Hobbs the same, and they just don't seem to have the same quality. They have a lot of quantity and not the same quality. And whatever it is, all the big owners seem to be coming to the likes of Gordon and Willie. And with weeks like this week, you can see that continuing for some time ahead. It's just been outstanding. Willie overtook Nicky Henderson as the all-time leading trainer at Cheltenham yesterday with 61 winners, 7 for the week. And Gordon is hot on his heels with 6 for the week. It's mad. Just chatting to Willie, saying, we asked him, did he ever think he'd be in this position? And he didn't. He's such a humble and modest man. They would be happy with 2 or 3 winners for the week, but it's just amazing the quality him and Gordon have. Serious strength in depth. If the first string doesn't win, the second string has a great chance. The third string and fourth strings have a great chance as well, and they have a lot of fine chances today as well. But the English challenge is definitely faltered in the last couple of years.
Yeah, it sets it up nicely for the final day, all right. And I guess we may as well get a couple of tips off you before we head over to John Duggan in about 5 or 10 minutes' time as well. We'll start with the Gold Cup. Naturally, I think Might Bite is where your money's going this afternoon.
Yeah, he has a couple of kinks and kind of quirks to him. Obviously, everybody saw in last year's RSA Chase, he went to the front and veered horribly right, and anybody who had punted him looked like their money was done. But unbelievably, the horse almost stopped. It's like, and the only way I can equate it is like if you stop a treadmill, you're running on a treadmill and you stop it and go to start it again, how long would it take you to get back to full pace again? He completely stopped to a standstill and was able to get back to full pace quick enough to catch Whisper in the shadow of the post. That was a remarkable performance. We haven't seen as many of those quirks up. We don't see any of them today. I know Nicky has said he has a bit of a battle plan for him today, which I'd imagine would be keeping someone close to him for as long as he possibly can. I just think if he didn't have that kink from last year, he'd probably be 6 to 4, 7 to 4 shot. So I think he's an outstanding bet of 4 to 1. I cannot see him out of the top 3. I think he's a great each way bet to nothing.
Okay.
And I think he'll win.
So I think everybody remembers that race from last year. Really, it was probably the most incredible finish of last year, and I think anybody who had money on him had their hearts in their mouth certainly during that race. So you mentioned that there, the tactic that they might employ for this race, they want to be essentially within the bunch, going over the last fence, is it? And then does the horse have enough acceleration to win? To basically win down the home stretch? Because obviously, what was it? Was it 7-8 lengths clear at that point last year?
Oh, at least 7 or 8 lengths clear, yeah. I'm not sure if he'll want to be in the bunch. He'll just want a small bit of cover. He'll want to be racing with somebody. Okay. He might want one on the inside, one on the outside, or at least one on the inside. He idles in front. Horses are funny kind of animals. Like, some horses will tear away in the front and they won't need anybody beside them. Others just need to have something maybe eyeballing them just to keep them at their work. And my fight seems to be that sort of an animal that he needs to have somebody close to him. And if he's jumping upside the last with another horse and close to somebody within the last 150 yards, I think he can just accelerate away there from them. It's such an interesting race. I think he's one of the only ones that doesn't really have a question mark about. A lot of the other, not as big of a question mark anyway this season, a lot of the other contenders do have question marks beside them. And I just think he's a solid bet.
Our Duke seems to be the one that other people are going for that aren't betting on Might Bite. But I'm going to ask you instead about Definitely Red, because he was an each-way tip from John Duggan here on Off the Ball AM a little bit earlier on today. What's your read on him? Is he the best of, I guess, the outside shots in the Gold Cup this afternoon?
There's a fair few outside shots. I know Tony McCoy was very, very sweet on him at a preview night last week in Dublin. He's definitely going to stay. Definitely going to like the track. He'll be one of them that'll definitely be coming home up that hill. He definitely has a chance. There are a lot of kind of question marks around the 10 between the horses between maybe 10 and 16 to 1. Total Recall is very progressive. Could come on an awful lot. Vic is an experience, was classy. But I definitely wouldn't put anyone off back and Definitely Red each way.
Just before we let you go there, Michael, I might just get any other tip you have for today. What's your Napa today? Let's go with that. Hello, Michael? Can you hear? I was going to ask what your Napa today was, if you can hear me there, but it appears...
My fight would be my Napa today, actually.
Oh, okay.
In the big race. I think... Can you hear me on?
Yeah, there's clearly a good bit of a delay there, Michael, but I think we managed to catch that one. Might Bite, yeah. Napa today from Michael Verney. We leave it there, Michael. Enjoy the rest of today, and congratulations again on the success earlier on in the week. Michael Verney there of the Irish Independent. You can, of course, read all his work in today's Irish Independent. His last concise preview of a brilliant day of racing at Cheltenham. We're going to be speaking to John Duggan, and we're going to be speaking to Nathan Murphy in a couple of minutes. You're definitely going to want to hear what Nathan Murphy's betting on this week. But before all that, let's get AP McCoy's thoughts on the Gold Cup and a couple of other races. He was chatting to John Duggan here in studio last week.
Fascinating race. A lot of stats against, Sizing John was a good winner last year. You think, he looks the best horse in the race. The last horse to win back-to-back Gold Cups was Best Mate. The likes of Cotto Star obviously got beaten in a Gold Cup and then came back and won it again. But Best Mate was the last one to retain a Gold Cup. I remember watching numerous horses that whether it be the War of Attritions or the Kicking Kings or the Imperial Calls or even Don Cossacks, even though he get injured, and think he'll definitely win another Gold Cup. It's very hard to get back to running another Gold Cup, let alone win another Gold Cup. So for that reason, things are against Sizing John. The horse that finished behind him, I think, very few horses have been placed in a Gold Cup that have come back and win a Gold Cup. Only maybe the Fellow and Cotto Star. I think something like the last 66 horses that were placed in the Gold Cup couldn't win a Gold Cup. So that makes you think that it'll be tough for Native River and Jack Adam and Manila Rocco and them. I like Definitely Red. I think he's a very solid horse.
The ground might suit him as well. If
the ground might suit him. He won over, he won in Cheltenham and in the end of January when the Cotswold Chase. He might not be good enough to win the Gold Cup, but I think at the price, I think he's a big each way chance. And I think Our Duke might be the best of the Irish. I think little disappointing obviously at Leopardstown, but beat Presenting Percy at Gore, and I thought it was a good performance. Stays very well. Feely said he schooled him last week and he jumped very well. So only because this stats always get broken, but those stats are going on a little while now. So
Finally, AP, pleasure to talk to you again. A banker and maybe an each way one for the handicaps next week.
The handicaps are near on impossible. A banker, I kind of like Apple Shakira in the Triumph. I think she's a smart filly, and an each way one. The handicaps are impossible. You know, I thought Blow by Blow, if he ran in the Albert Bartlett, had a good chance. But I think Gordon Elliott said he's going to run in the Martin Pipe. But I think Blow by Blow has very talented bumper horse, lost his way a little bit, but he's got loads of experience for a novice, and he's pretty solid. I think maybe each way Blow by Blow in whatever race he runs.
Yeah, AP McCoy there giving his thoughts to John Duggan here in studio last week. We will get over to John in just a moment, but before all that, Nathan Murphy, good afternoon.
How are you?
Not too bad. How's your week going?
Breaking even. I've had quite a few second place finishes, but today is the day.
How did you do on day one?
Not great.
Right, so that's why you're only breaking even.
The opening race, I had Mengli Khan, who finished third at 16-1. So, and I also had Kalashnikov, was it, who came second. So I had both of those each way. So that kind of tipped me over. Didn't do much on Wednesday. Yesterday was fine, but today is the day. There's too many tips for today. This is the problem.
It is. It's a fascinating day.
How do you decide who you're going to go with?
So, like I've said this on every single show I've done so far, I may as well explain it to you. If there's anybody at home who hasn't heard my foolproof technique, it is basically John Duggan and Ruby Walsh, wherever they cross paths. Their success rate is 3 from 3 when it comes to placing. They've been 3 each way bets. 2 of them have actually won the race. There is a couple of them that cross over today. Might Bite is actually one of them in the Gold Cup. But before we get over to John, like just in general, it seems that anybody who didn't make a big profit on day one is either breaking even or is in arrears a little bit.
Well, Apple's Jade screwed me over on day one because I had doubles and trebles, and there were 3 very short price favourites on day one. 2 of them won, except for Apple's Jade, and I didn't go with the others. Yeah, so that killed me. But I've a couple of tips for today now. From who? We might get into. Well, Mr. Caban has delivered the goods. One of them is too late, really. 3 stars. We'll chat to John about this as well, I'm sure. 3 stars in the final race of the day, I think it is.
Yes.
Was 40-1 just, fortnight ago? Not even that.
Yeah, I remember that tip.
Yeah, into 14-1 right now, and been getting shorter and shorter and shorter. And this could be the big finale of the festival for anybody. But even at 14-1, each way, definitely worth a pop. The other one I heard from a separate source, we'll say, on days like this is the only way going, is early doors, each way in the 450. Joseph O'Brien apparently very keen. Okay. Around 10-1.
Right, okay, nice tip there. Michael Verney was tipping that one in the Irish Independent this morning as well, so that's got a bit of backup. We'll get to the first race with John now. What's your tip from Mr. Kilban on the first?
For class. Still around, I think it's moved out to about 15-2 in the last few minutes.
15-2, exactly, yeah.
Again, maybe a nice each way start to the day.
Hopefully, yeah, it is the JCB Triumph Hurdle. John Duggan, good afternoon.
Hello?
Hey, John, sorry, if you just, apologies, if you just say that one more time, whatever you're going to say.
Owen and Nathan, how are you today?
Pretty good. I'm not quite sure. Like, we're excited.
Are you up?
Yes, I am, as a result of good old JD on day one. Thanks, John.
Good man. I didn't get that memo.
Yeah, those 2 each way bets that both won. They were big winners on Monday, or on Tuesday rather. But we may as well start with the 130 Far Class. John, Kevin Kilban's tip, yay or nay?
Well, the market says nay, lads. Apple Shakira being backed off the boards, like defeat is out of the question. From into 11-10 in some places. Barry Geraghty and Nicky Henderson. Nicky's won the race 6 times, 6-4 in other places. But Apple Shakira is where all the money is going in the colours of JB McManus. Nothing else has been backed in the race. So if you're following the market, it's going to be the favourite's job in the first.
Are Apple's Jade and Apple Shakira related?
Not off the top of my head. I'd have to look into that, but the one I went for is
confusing. There should be a rule in place that you can't have the same first name unless you're a blood relation. No,
it's
right.
It's a decent theory, no?
I remember there's actually 2 horses called Galileo. There was one in the flat and there was one over jumps. Which Galileo is it? So I remember that a few years ago. But yeah, look. you could probably type in Owen Sheehan into Racing Post or Nathan Murphy. You'd probably get horses called that. There's so many names.
Yeah, it'd be great. Hopefully we get to the level one day where people are naming horses after us. So Apple Shakira, is that your tip now? Because I know Mr. Adjudicator at 8-1 this morning, John, was what you were looking at. Are you kind of lumping on Apple Shakira now because the market dictates that is the case?
I don't like this race at all, lads. I think it's a very tricky race to try and hurdle 4-year-olds. They haven't had that many runs over jumps. It's a race to leave alone. It's not the race to have a bet in. The one I did like was Mr. Adjudicator because he posted one of the fastest times of the season at Leopardstown last time out. I think it might be worth €1 each way, but only €1.
Nice one. 2:10. Mary DeVee is a bet that I particularly like that you advised this morning, John, because a number of other tipsters are going for it as well. It was at 12-1 this morning. I presume that's moved in a little bit. 10-1 actually I see in front of me right now. Is that the biggest mover this morning, or is there another big mover in the 2:10?
Well, Mary DeVee is actually drifting in some of the markets I see out to 14s. The bit of money here and there. Bleu Rouge, who's also in the same stable, Willie Mullins, is the 8-1 favourite. There's money for Spirit of the Games. That's Dan Skelton horse. Smina Valden is going to be nibbled a bit in the market, but not a strong marker for this. This is just an extremely difficult race to work out. It's a huge amount of runners, over 20 runners, and it's a case once again if you're banking on getting out, you're Cheltenham ahead on this race. I wouldn't be doing it, lads. But not much in terms of market moves.
Any Mayo sources on the 2:10?
Nothing. Nothing.
So
those first couple of races both look extremely difficult, John, to pick a winner out of.
It seems like Mary DeVee is the best one to go for from the first two, by the sounds of things, John.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a bit of confidence from the stable behind us. Paul Townend is on it. The ground will suit. She ran well last time. She's got an each-way chance. But all the horses in this race have each-way chances. That's why it's 8-1 the field. That's the kind of price you get the field in the Grand National.
Yeah. It seems we could actually probably extend that to the first three races, in fact, kind of caution, because I think it's fair to say the Albert Bartlett is a don't bet race. Yeah,
the money has come for Santini, Nicky Henderson's horse, into 3-1, heavily supported. Not much else is supported in the market. When I was up in Betfred about an hour ago, Jim, my lucky 63. But this is a very, very tough race for young horses. 3 miles on that ground. I've seen some very, very strange results in this over the years. Bertie's Dream, I remember winning a 33-1. Penhill won it last year. It wasn't expected at 16's course, won yesterday as well. But there could be a surprise in this. But Santini's where the money's gone.
If Santini does win, do you expect then quite quickly that the odds on Might Bite in the Gold Cup shorten, considering it's Henderson and de Boinville?
Yes, Nathan. One very interesting thing that I've seen over the last half hour. So the going is soft to heavy here at Cheltenham, and that's what it's been. And the horses are racing on the same ground as yesterday. But for the Gold Cup, there is a strip of ground that the clerk of the course, Simon Clace, has kept fresh for the whole year. Not any horse has raced on it for the year. And this strip of ground is about 3 horses wide. It's on the inside. And then beside it, on the same part of ground, the rest of the ground is where the horses were running yesterday. So you've got 2 sets of ground. On the left-hand side, better, fresher, better ground, and on the right-hand side is softer ground. I'm hoping this is making any sense to you, but Mick Fitzgerald has actually tweeted. He's on ITV Racing. I've just retweeted it at John Duggan Sport. You can see when the horses are running, on the left-hand side there's better ground in the Gold Cup, on the right-hand side the ground is more testing. So you need to get on the inside for the Gold Cup. And Simon Clace has said that the ground on the inside for the Gold Cup is approaching good to soft.
Okay.
And that's why I think Might Bite's been backed. He's been backed into 7-2 now for the Gold Cup. And then also, road to respect, a lot of people would thought that this horse, who won at the festival last year and won at Leopardstown at Christmas, a really good horse for Noel Meade, his chance might have gone because of the ground. But the ground might not be as bad as people think.
Is there a likely front runner in the Gold Cup then? Because I presume, as you say, that's a pretty narrow strip of good ground that you want to be able to pick your own position. So therefore, does that maybe change some of the tactics for the race?
I think what it means that Might Bite would probably, Nico de Boinville is going to try and get on the inside and go out in front. But you have a lot of front runners. You've got like Native Rivers, a big front runner. So it's just a very interesting development. And I mean, there'll be a lot of elbows, sharp elbows, when the jockeys are jockeying for position at the start of the Gold Cup race. But also Might Bite's got such speed that will he be able to get into position quite early, that he'll be able to start burning off the rivals. The tactics of this race are fascinating. I think Might Bite needs to be ridden with more restraint in the Gold Cup if he's going to stay up that hill over 3.25 miles rather than the 3 miles he won the King George, and he also won the 3 mile novice chase here last year. So a bit of money for Might Bite. Drifting in the market are Native River and our Duke. They're drifting. bit of money here and there for Definitely Red, but it's a might bite market at the moment, folks.
Do you think that the Arduke market is, I suppose, a little bit in Arduke's favour due to, I guess, the profile of the horse? It's been such a good story. Robbie Power's story is a great story. Like, does it deserve to be second favourite, is what I'm asking, John?
I think it does, on the basis that he'll be presenting Percy at Gowran Park. He won the Irish Grand National. He won a good novice race last year at Leopardstown. He won the Irish National by, I think, 14 lengths. So I think he deserves a chance. The one thing we know about Arduke is he will stay. He will love that hill. And if he's thereabouts, coming to the hill within distance of the leader or even in the lead himself, he's not going to stop. He's not going to stop up that hill after winning over 3 miles, 5 furlongs at Ferryhouse last year. So the problem with Arduke is, can he jump around? And that's also a question we have to ask about Cheltenham Vic.
At a potential each way bet, a name that we've been hearing a bit of over the last hour or so is Becassin, 28-1, who I think struggled probably over fences to start with, but is really in a decent run of form now. Is 28-1, is that decent value?
I would say not, to be honest. In that Willie Mullins, I spoke to him yesterday, and of the alternatives to Cheltenham Vic, that was the one he was least keen on. Okay. Total Recall. He's got Jack Adam in the race, but that was the one he was least keen on. So on that basis, I'm probably would leave it alone. Just
to reiterate, this morning's tip, Definitely Red, is your each way tip, John.
No, what I've done is I'm trying to make profit here, so I've done 2 bets. I've done 2 win bets. Might Bite is my nap of the day, but I've got a saver on Definitely Red in the event that Might Bite collapses and doesn't do the job. I think Definitely Red will get the trip. He likes soft ground, and he's a good jumper, and he's an improving horse, and I think he's my each way alternative to Might Bite. But Might Bite is my bet of the day.
The 4 then, after the Gold Cup. By the way, the Gold Cup kind of seems like a race that you can sit back and enjoy without a bet today. Certainly it seems like Might Bite or Arduke. It's certainly leaning in the way of Might Bite at the moment after what John has said, but it's a fascinating race.
You just love horse racing.
This week I love horse racing. After that though, after the excitement,
the gambling side of it's irrelevant. It's the joy of watching the greatest horses in steeplechasing going head to head. That's what gives you the thrill.
Well, the gambling side is irrelevant once you've made your profit for the week, you know. The 4 to St James's Place Fox Thunder Challenge Cup Open Hunters Chase. It's 3 miles, 2 furlongs, 70 yards. John, it's a tricky one again. We've established that this morning. Has your mind changed a little bit? Is there any big market movers in the 4?
Just once again, a few nibbles here, lads. Union East of Paul Nichols, who won the race last year, is into 16s, and Grand Vision is into 16s as well, with the champion point-to-point rider from Ireland, Barry O'Neill, riding now for Colin Tizard. That is notable. I will have another look at Grand Vision after this call, but the one I went for earlier on was, I actually went for 2 again here. Cad de Burley, who's got course form, winning course form, and under Paul Nichols, who's not trained by him now, and the one Manila for value at a price 28s, 33s, who was 6th in the race last year and could improve again.
The 5 then is the Martin Pipe, blow by blow. That's what you were calling this morning. Are you still on board blow by blow?
Yeah, I would agree with what you said earlier on in terms of there's been money for early doors for Joseph O'Brien. This was a very good novice hurdler. He's only run over 2 miles, so he could improve for the step up and trip. I wouldn't put anybody off early doors with Mr. Slevin in the plate. Money as well for Sire de Burley into 8s, but I'm sticking with blow by blow. He was very impressive the last time. He was a very good young horse, and I think Gordon Elliott generally targets this race. He won the race last year in the same colours with Champagne Classic, and I think blow by blow about 11-12-1 might be worth a 5 each way.
And 5, John, the final race, the Get Out of Dodge Stakes. I guess we have been hearing about 3 Stars, who has been a lot of money from 40-1 a couple of weeks ago into 14-1. Do you give it any chance?
I do give it a chance, Nathan. I wouldn't worry about the fact that the price might have gone. Just if you think the horse has got a chance, get into it again. This is trained in Waterford by Henry de Bromhead. I think it's owned by Robert Finnegan of 3. And this horse ran in the Arkle Chase last year, so they obviously thought he was good enough to run in the Arkle Chase. You think he fell at the 1st or the 2nd. He ran well at Leopardstown last time. He was 2nd. I think he's got an each way chance, but this is such a difficult race to solve, so much so that I didn't even make a selection for it. There's money for Bouvroy and Le President, both Jamie McManus owned horses, into 11-1. North Hill Harvey is the favourite at 8s, and a drifter in the market, 1 a negative for Don't Touch It for Jessica Harrington. There is a horse I actually spotted in the 210 that I'm actually going to have a couple of quid on here. Brillade of Gordon Elliott. He ran very well at the festival last year. He's been running over fences, Brillade. He's about 25, 28, 33-1. I'm going to have a sneaky 5 each way myself in Brillade. This is a very late spot. This is in the same race Mary DeVee, who I've also already backed, but I'm also going to back Brillade. And that's it, folks. Best of luck on Gold Cup Day.
Nice one. Best of luck to yourself, John. Thanks for everything this week. And
he just threw it in there. He left it right to the very end. 33-1.
33-1. Gordon Elliott, trained horse. I mean, you wouldn't bet against it.
No, this is the frustration I have with jump racing right now, and the issue it probably faces is because Mullins and Elliott have so many horses, you get a tip for one and then Elliott's other horse wins.
Yeah, it's very frustrating. Particularly over the last 2 years, that's really come into its own, that sort of duopoly, hasn't it? Last year's festival and this year's festival.
I need to rethink my tactics for next year. But I'm very bad, and I'm about to do it again, which is I'll go in for a class in the opening race, and then if that doesn't win, I probably won't go after anything for the rest of the afternoon.
Yeah, well, that's not. At least you have that discipline. I'm sure there's plenty of people who are like keep betting and betting higher and higher and higher until they inevitably don't make back any of their money, and then they have a terrible day. But I'm just looking at the 5:30 there. Like you mentioned, Kevin Stipter. What was that horse's name again?
3 Stars.
3 Stars. Sorry, yes. So I'm looking at a couple of the racing tipsters in this morning's papers who've all tipped the same horse. There's 4 of them here. So on my paper it says, "Don't touch it, don't touch it, don't touch it, don't touch it," which I think is a bit of a subliminal message. I shouldn't touch the horse called "Don't touch it." I'm not overly confident.
Jessica Harrington, 12-1.
It is Jessica Harrington. It's got a lot of love. I guess final point, Gold Cup. What are you feeling?
Oh, it's not a Gold Cup that particularly excites me. I've got to be honest with you. I don't think it's a great Gold Cup with
there have been better,
John Duggan.
But it's still the Gold Cup.
I think I watched that video that Mick Fitzgerald put up of the ground that they have saved all year, and maybe that means the better horse does win. I still think maybe one of the outsiders might be able to do something, a Jackadam or as Bacassin that we've been hearing. So I think I'm not going to go after Might Bite. I'm going to go each way, big price.
Good shout.
You all in a Might Bite?
Well,
just how much money did you win on Tuesday?
Well, I don't bet that big. I won on
€8.
No, on 2 bets, I made €100 profit. I just have 2 each way winners. So pretty good tip from John Duggan there. So he has saved himself at the first day. Today's a big day for him, though, he'll admit himself.
Should we put an appeal out to the viewers right now that they can tweet us to @OffTheBall? We're trying to piece together Kevin Kilbane's night at Cheltenham.
Yes.
So if you did see him, you were just trying to piece together the hours as they moved on. If you have a photograph and you can kind of timestamp it so we can get his whereabouts at different times of the night, that'd be just great.
Yes, please, @OffTheBall, or still comment anywhere, wherever you can get us @OffTheBall. Just please let us know if you saw Kevin Kilbane, and we'll get this 3D picture of Kevin Kilbane's night. He's somewhere in the United Kingdom, we think.
He's in Birmingham Airport, he told me.
Okay, well that's good. At least he's in an airport.
Well, he's 6 hours later than he should have been in Birmingham Airport, but he's there nonetheless.
Thanks for revealing that. We kept that one fairly stum on @OffTheBall AM this morning, but at least it was Nathan that outed Kevin and not me. Nathan, thank you very much for coming in. Appreciate it. Best of luck today.
Well done.
Thank you very much. That's it pretty much for our Cheltenham coverage. I'll be back on the radio tonight at 7 o'clock, but from our morning and afternoon coverage...
You're not going to do this every Tuesday, Wednesday? Lingfield, 3 o'clock. Woo!
The Gorham Park, a horse named Nathan Murphy is running in the first.
I love that.
Yeah, but that's the dream. One day, next year's Cheltenham, there'll be a horse called Nathan Murphy. We'll chat to you then, I guess, when we all get interested in racing once again. But thanks for joining us all week. Have a good afternoon and best of luck with your betting today.